Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. And we are in Jaipur, the Pink City. And I was reading little anecdotes about Jaipur. And the first thing that struck me, it's supposed to be one of the first planned city in India. Way back in 1779, a Bengali architect came here and planned it, and this whole city is planned as per the Vastu. Not only that, it also has one of the best engineering marvels of India, the Jantar Mantar. So we are in a city which actually did innovation. So as technologists, I think it's meaningful to meet here in Jaipur and mull over things. I represent Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, which is a 70-year-old company, have driven many aspects of technology, have seen many changes in the technology. And we are now split up into multiple companies. The company that I represent is Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and a part of that is Aruba, which is our networking brand, and I represent that. And the topic that I'm going to talk to you about is how do you connect people? How do you connect places and the things, and how do you bring it together in this whole evolving world of digital? And before I start, I would like to pick up one point that Professor Sanjay Verma talked about. He talked about that we can create a data lakes, which is easy to do, but we cannot pick up phone numbers of the customers during interactions. And ladies and gentlemen, that's very, very true. It's very difficult to do that. And hence, the enterprises are changing. The enterprise of the future is talking about how do I enable my edge. It is important to enable the edge more than the data center, because then you can pick up the phone number or the card number or the address of your customers or your consumers. And hence, the enterprises are going through a change, and that's what we are trying to do. And as you see today, a perfect storm is arriving among us, because there's a humongous amount of data which is coming through the collection of data that is happening in the IoT. It's video enabled today, it's voice enabled, it's data enabled, there are interactions happening, and then you have the cloud which is gathering all of that. But how do you manage this cloud of data, this data storm? And the enabler of this data storm is the network. So the network has to be looked at in a new aspect. Today, the network is no more about moving packets. It's about how do you collect data from the network in a real-time basis and use those data meaningfully for your business, and you increase your valuation of the business. I will detract a little bit and ask you a question. Which are the most valuable companies in the world today? Any answers? 3 or 4 of them, the most valuable companies in the world today. Apple, yes, one of them. Google, one of them. Amazon, you talked about, yes. Okay. So let's talk about Google, let's talk about Amazon, let's talk about Facebook. And if you see their balance sheets, even Flipkart, India, right? If you see their balance sheets are not very, 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 very encouraging. Companies like us, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, who've been there for 70 years, IBMs of the world who've been there for many, many years, their valuations are not there. The balance sheets look okay. But why is their valuation so up? Because in the new age, it's the data which is the new currency. The companies which can have credible data, their valuation goes up. Amazon has tons and tons of credible data. So does Apple iPhone. Every time you connect to iPhone, you have to give all your details. It's not the iPhone, Apple that, the iPhone that Apple makes money. They make money from the iTunes. You take Google. They have all your data. You talk about Facebook, they have all your data, hence their valuations are going up. Now, the challenge for the CIOs is to look at how do I get more data from the system? How do I light up those data, which is the dark data probably, and get more valuation in the company? And the network is becoming the new enabler for lighting up data. That's one. The other thing is network is also becoming a service delivery medium for the enterprise and the society in general. And hence, there's a data storm that's getting created, and we need to contend with that. To contend with that, we need some new innovative technologies to look at. Well, from our perspective as a company, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and the Aruba part of it, we are looking about, if we have to contain this data storm, you have to light up the data, and we have to enable a new edge outside of the data center, we need to start on a journey. And that journey starts with, how do you have a secure connectivity? The secure connectivity becomes very, very important because today we are not connecting to our corporate applications, sitting in our desktops, putting in a password, and that desktop is supposed to be your, your secure data set, secure data place where through you connect. You are connecting through multiple devices, and I'm sure many of you are actually doing some applications of price clearance or some data movement or some corporate applications are on in this room. You are doing it from your device, multiple devices, from anywhere, from any broadband network. Hence, the security becomes very, very important. How do you secure the user and how do you secure the devices is of key importance. How do you recognize them? How do you onboard them? But more than onboarding, how do you continuously keep checking those devices are not got infected? So posture checking becomes very, very important. So the journey starts with how do you have a secure connectivity? The next is how do I make things more insightful? How do I get data and give you insights? And then we move on, and then if you have the insights, how do I automate this based on the machine learning and applied insights? Can I automate? And then finally, you will have a software-defined experience. So that's a journey map. And I'm going to talk about few experiences and few solutions that we are able to deliver, which actually takes you into this journey. The whole concept that we are now talking about is about intelligent edge. Anything outside of the data center is now called the edge. And the edge is becoming more meaningful because that's where the interactions are happening. And it's a kind of an outward movement from the data center for the enterprises as well, where micro data centers will come up across your business interactions. And probably you'll have a grid of those micro data centers doing many, many things for you. And on the way, you have to deliver some great experiences. So you will have this platform, which is called the Cloud Native Edge Software Platform. It could be multiple types of ERPs for different businesses and the different interactions of businesses that you have, as Professor talked about. There's no one solution that's going to be defining for the entire enterprise. But you will have multiple applications which will be working, and you have to connect them. And that is your software-defined platform, and that's your edge outside of your data center. And if I look at it, there are many users, many people, or many constituents that we as technologists or IT professionals have to address to. First of all, the end user. Then we talk about the line of business within your organization, the IT department per se, and of course the CISO, which are becoming more and more important in this world. And what are the experiences that you are looking at? The end user is looking for experience. If you are selling them a car, how well are you giving him an experience to buy a car? Or if you're making a TV, how is that experience to gather that TV, install it, do the life cycle management? So it's about experience. Then you talk about your the line of business function. The line of business function is looking for insights and data. How can I get data? How many TVs have been sold in the state of Tripura or the state or the sub-state in, let's say, Daman and Diu? What is the demographics of that? Can I throw up data on a real-time basis? And that's what network is now facilitating. Then you talk about IT. IT is demanding more and more automation. How do we automate that? And as a CISO, I am looking only at risk. How do I mitigate my risk? How do I do my risk analysis? How do I get insights into what are the risks which are being thrown up because of the various interactions that we are happening, because of the devices which are coming out of the network, the people which are coming out of the network, and the various entities within the organization. So what are the expected experiences that we are looking at? The first experience is a seamless experience with wired and wireless networks. Because today, if you see, majority of your users are mobile. They're either using a broadband connectivity or a phone connectivity using a device. Then there are some people who are working in the shop floor or in the factories or in the supply chain or in or the warehouses. They could be on a wired network, but it's a seamless. How do we know that who it is? So if I am connecting and I work for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, the moment I come in to my office and I'm using my wired device, they know that I'm Shantanu. They put me onto that particular VLAN, or all the class of service that I'm supposed to get gets automatically. I step out and I go to my warehouse. The moment I warehouse, I'm going to connect on a LAN port and my the laptop gets connected. They automatically configure it to a particular VLAN, and gives me all the quality of service, all the class of service that is required, which we call dynamic segmentation, automatically. You don't have to configure the ports. The ports are colorless. The ports should know that this is Shantanu, this is his device X, it needs to get put up in this particular VLAN or in this particular secured connectivity path. So that's the kind of experience that we are trying to drive. The next is we are looking at high quality experience on a mobile device. How can we do video conferencing? How can we do a kind of a conference call? How can we do a live application where you are doing an SAP transaction on it, or you are doing a banking transaction or a core banking issue that you are trying to solve on your wireless device? We can only do this if there's a deep packet inspection, and if there is a particular protocol that we use or an application nomenclature that we use, which is called the app RF, where by it we know what is the application, and because of that application we give the highest priority. If it's a video conferencing call happening, that needs more bandwidth. So I have to assign the better bandwidth to that particular application and take away bandwidth maybe from somebody who's just surfing or doing email. So that's how you deliver a high quality experience when you're using a mobile device in your campus. And then we are talking about compliance, security, and you're still embracing BOID, bring your own device, but it will not be bringing your own devices to work, but going forward, it will be bringing in your own things, right? And how do you securitize them? How do you securely put them on the network? How do you manage them while they're on the network? And how do you know that then somebody is misbehaving in the network? By doing behavioral analytics of things and users on the network, that, okay, if somebody's password is stolen and somebody is mimicking that user or that thing, we should be able to know through behavioral analytics. So we have to go now step beyond just access rights and authentication. It's about behavioral analytics and understanding people and things, how to manage the risk. The next is, how do you manage your branches now? The branch, as I said, is now an integrated portion of your entire operation. There's no difference between a headquarters and the branch or the zonal offices. They are all homogeneous entity. And what do? We have been talking about SD-LAN. You've heard about SD-WAN, and everybody kind of looking into how to implement SD-WAN. But what's the point? Why do we have to just optimize the WAN network? What about inside the branch? How do I make the LAN itself software-defined? How do I know that in a particular office or a particular branch, there are 10 people working or 20 people working? Which are the applications that they're using? What are the applications which is important at that juncture? And what link it should take for getting the highest priority? And you should be able to do a homogeneous management of that branch and office, and hence we are calling it SD branch and not just SD-WAN. You have to combine the SD-LAN along with that to give you a branch or an office experience that I could step into a small office, but I get all the facilities that a network has to offer, even in a corporate headquarters. The next thing is there are value-added services which are arriving on the top of networks. And that's very, very interesting. In a very, very large campus, and as I walk in and I have to meet a particular gentleman, he gives me, okay, he knows that I have arrived, and he gives me the access. A QR code comes on my mobile phone. I show it to the gate. I enter the office, and then I do a wayfinding where exactly is this gentleman. That's one. And I'm sure there's another problem that you must be grappling with, and many of you, is booking conference rooms, which is a nightmare. Most of the conference rooms are booked all the time because somebody is just pre-booking it and not utilizing it. Can we just free it up? Can we just say, okay, I need a conference at this conference room at this juncture, and which is about, I need about 6 sitters, I need a projector, and I need a kind of telephone line to have a conference call. But what happens is the network is able to detect whether that particular room is free. If it is unoccupied, if it has all the data, it will pull up, okay, this zone X has these kind of elements, it's a 6-sitter. It gets allotted to the person, and his QR code is on the conference gate. You just walk in, show it, and you're having the access. But if you don't turn up in the next 10 minutes, the booking is gone. Those are kind of automation that we can bring in a campus, And just by doing some incremental investment on the network is the new enabler of giving experiences, or the digital experiences in creating offices. And Professor also talked about RFID in a warehouse, and I'm going to talk to you some interesting things which are emanating out of the network there. As we said, the future proof of the wired infrastructure, if you see the wired infrastructure that you had put up, which is sunk cost, today the wired infrastructure is the enabler for connecting wireless devices and IoT devices. It is not somebody is just going to connect desktops into that wired port. That you are going to connect Wi-Fi access through which people will connect their Wi-Fi device and the IoT will get connected to that. So the wired network is the new enabler for Wi-Fi. The other thing is, how do you onboard based on zero-touch provisioning? Wherever they can get connected, I should be able to recognize what IoT device it is. Is it a temperature device or a thermistor, or it's a pressure gauge, or it's a video camera? Based on that, I should be able to put it on a particular VLAN automatically. And that's what we talk about, colorless ports and dynamic provisioning. These are kind of setups which are required. Otherwise, managing a IoT setup or things in your network will become very, very difficult. The next is, how do you get information out of your wireless network that you have created? The wireless network should be able to say, okay, who's where? Interestingly, we did a project for a particular university, and the professor was very, very, very demanding. And one day we told him, sir, sit down. And we gave him, so let's see what's happening. Last 1 hour, where have you been? We could actually show in the chart where all he has been. I have not gone to complain so far from the professor as yet, right? So those are kind of things too. We did a very interesting project from a very large company who owns a lot of mines. They are saying that we want to do Wi-Fi in the mines. But why do you need a Wi-Fi in the mines? There's nothing. We have no interest in the Wi-Fi. I need to know where my people are in the case of emergency or in a calamity. I would need to locate and pinpoint, because the map is there, and the access will tell me where exactly this person is. So I talked about the SD branch, which is very, very interesting. We are combining the WAN, the SD-WAN, and the SD-LAN together and giving you a branch experience so that you can have homogeneous kind of activity out of your headquarters. And every entity that you have, whether it's a warehouse or whether it's a small branch, they will be exactly like your headquarters in terms of the service delivery. Let me just, because paucity of time, I'm going to also tell you what are the kind of threat detections we're able to do. While we have probably the best NAC in the world, I'm not talking about the NAC, but the most interesting thing beyond the NAC, what happens if somebody steals your credential? Or there is an insider who's attacking your network. So there's a new concept called UEBA, User and Endpoint Behavioral Analytics, which is a big data platform. Based on that, you should be able to tell what device is misbehaving. Is there a camera which is misbehaving? And is it, if you compare with other cameras, it is not doing the thing it's supposed to do, take him out of the network. For instance, the Bangladesh Bank, the famous kind of the sabotage that happened there, it happened from a printer port. If the network knew that this is a printer port and a printer cannot ask the question, it is a one-way traffic there, the whole problem could have got solved. So the network should understand that this is a printer and it cannot do a counter question. So these are kind of things that we are building in. The UEB is a very interesting product that we have building. The product name is called the Introspect, where we do continuous introspection of the way people behave on the network. For instance, if somebody has stolen my password, right, and he can mimic or she can mimic on the network, but the speed at which you type your password is different. You have a particular way of doing that. So that's what we are doing. The next is, this is very interesting, and we are now doing Wi-Fi using asset trackers. Using asset trackers, using the Wi-Fi, we are able to manage, replace RFID. You can have anything. It could be warehouse containers, or it could be a hospital. And in a hospital, you need to know where the wheelchair is, or where the portable X-ray machine is, or where a portable ECG machine is. Or you could have the Wi-Fi tag in the badge of the nurse, and you know how many times the nurse is going to the bed, or the janitor is going to the laboratory. Those are kind of things we can do, and you can actually see in the dashboard where the location is, and if the location has moved, you get an alert and you say, okay, this particular thing has moved. And this is all because of the network is now giving this kind of services without any extra cost. It's an incremental service that we are delivering on top of that. And service assurance and automation of the network is becoming very, very important. And what you are using artificial intelligence, which is AI-based ops to manage it. And we have a sensor. This sensor is put up in the network and it keeps on gauging as a user, what am I experiencing, where my problem is. And we are doing the root cause analysis right at the moment where the problems are happening. And based on that, the data goes to the cloud, and a host of interventions are automated, and the network is perfect and running. You don't have to lose a night's sleep on managing the network. So those automations are happening. Those tools are now in place. And we are able to get a lot of insight from the network by this tool called NetInsight, which is making the network very adaptive and prescriptive as well. Well, this is the architecture that we have, which talks about a set of hardware, the set software layer, and the various applications that are running on the network. But the key thing is, the architecture talks about API. How do you expose APIs of the various hardwares that you have, various software that you have? Because today you're connecting your corporate applications using apps, or which are on your mobile device. So manage apps, you need APIs which are rich, which are stateful, which are exposed by the network elements that are present, and that helps you do a very deep, deep integration. And my team here is here along with my esteemed partner Orbit, who are putting up a set of demos, who are going to give the demos that I'm talking about. You can see actually the things, how we do that. It's in the back of the stage. Please find some time to visit that. So, as a company, Aruba is looking at how do I make the network very, very automated. And that's the direction we are taking. And before I sign up, I would like to say a few of the very, very critical networks that we have, are managing and we have deployed. Tirupati Devasthanam, every day, 150,000 people turn up there. We manage that from a network perspective. The biggest, one of the biggest hotspots in the world, by the way, is not in America. The biggest hotspot is here in Mumbai, the Aple Sarkar, which has been put up by us. If you see in Rajasthan, we have deployed 5,000 villages with Wi-Fi, which is one of the greatest examples of Village 3.0. And then we have done the network for the largest branches, 30,000 branches of the Department of Post, and probably the best airport in the world today, the Mumbai airport. But interestingly, all of you here in this room are having a kind of an account with SBI. We have done the complete security framework for that, which is the NAC we have deployed. The most critical network today, probably which has the richest number of attacks, highest number of attacks, is the GST network. That's a network which is deployed by HP Aruba. Flipkart, which is the Amazon of India, is again a network which is we are proud of. Zoho, the fastest growing software company in the world as a product company, completely on the Aruba network, again because all about APIs, because they're completely cloud-centric. And then finally, the Kumbh Mela just ended, right? That was the biggest congregation of people on earth. 12,000 odd cameras were deployed, and nobody got lost. All because of the network that was deployed, which could manage those cameras. They could manage the tags which are there with people, and seamlessly operated. And thank you very much for being patient. And as a company, we believe in customer first and customer last. Thank you very much.